Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I did something a little impulsive. We basically have 1 week out until the frag show, so besides saving money, I actually ended up spending more, which is obviously a good and kind of a bad thing. Now, recently in the last few months, obviously some people are starting to kind of have a little bit of a hard time, so a lot of people are getting out of the hobby, which is obviously kind of sad, but also good for some reasons. So what happened is I actually ended up buying somebody's tank shutdown today. Most of it's just frags, you can see here, and then a couple live invertebrates and 2 clownfish and then like a wrasse, which I was able to get for a pretty darn good price. Actually, let me go ahead and turn the light on here. Now, as you can see right there, there's like a little clownfish just kind of chilling right there. I was able to get quite a good amount of coral. As you can kind of see here, obviously there's some snails already trying to escape. But there were some pretty good torches, zoas, just a bunch of things. There's like a Duncan right there. And also we have all these corals right here. Now, since it's a pretty short drive, what I ended up doing was instead of filling up with water, which would have been really heavy, I just wet a bunch of paper towels and just put them over the top. If you guys had been reefing like decades ago, I used to remember they used to wrap zoas in newspapers. And that pretty much did it. So I'm not too worried here. It looks good to me. So we're gonna go ahead and add some water from the main tank into here for right now, just to kind of fill it up. There is some bubble algae, which is a problem, but we're gonna go ahead and fill this, at least with a good amount of water, start scrubbing away and kind of get everything prepped before I put it into the bottom parts of the tank, just so I don't have to worry about, you know, all those pests. So yeah, there's a few icky things on these coral, but we're gonna go ahead and take our time, get as much of it off as we can, inspect it, just try to stop, you know, any possible issues, and you'll kind of see that along the way. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see here just because I only have the actual room lighting, not actual blue lighting, but we're gonna go ahead and take all these little paper towels off right here, and that did a good job at just keeping all the corals moist. Like we got a scully here, some SPS, a whole bunch of sticks and zoas. And yeah, they've kept nice and moist. Like I said, it was only a short ride, so I'm not particularly worried about it. I'm more worried about the residual pests that were on here. For example, like bristleworms, as well as there was quite a bit of bubble algae. So what we're gonna do, like I mentioned, I'm just going to get some water from here. We'll turn off the pump. I already have another reservoir full of fresh water that I'm going to pump into here. So it's basically here to there, and then new water into this tank. But it'll be a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and fill it up first, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that it's filled up, you can kind of see a lot of the stuff. There's just a whole bunch of zoas here and there, some sticks. I know for a fact there is the scully right there, which is kind of just a plain old scully. There's like a goni, some more sticks right there. There is one of those micromusas. And then in the other bucket, you can see here, there's 2 like these little, I don't know what exactly those clowns are, but there's also a few Duncans, a nice little torch there, a cleaner shrimp, some more Duncans, some more zoas, and then just a bunch of snails trying to escape. But I am basically going to go slowly through each piece, just to make sure there aren't any pests. I do know there's a little bit of aptasia and some bubble algae, and we'll kind of scrape them off and then dip them, get them into the tank. So first up, we're going to get some of these snails. I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to keep this one alive. It's kind of like a, what do you call it? A margarita snail? Like a cooler water snail? I don't remember if it's exactly a margarita, but usually for the most part, I've never been able to keep these ones alive, so I'm not quite sure. The other guys are astrias. Their shells look pretty clean to me. Oh, this one actually has a little bubble algae, so we'll get rid of that one later. Let me see this guy. Is that a bubble? No, it's not. But he'll be fine. This one's kind of okay as well. He has a little vermitid, so I'll kind of scrape that off once I put the camera down, but we'll get him in the tank as well. And then, right here, this is like a little turbo snail. And he looks pretty darn clean also. Okay, so from this first batch of rocks that has all the livestock, I want to get rid of that first. So I want to go ahead and dip most of these guys. Got like this little black snail there, a bunch of little snails. I'm not sure exactly what there are. Hopefully they're not like the colonista snails. We're gonna go ahead and put them into this right here, and then go ahead and just dip them really quick with some coral revive, just to kind of get all that disgustingness off. Okay, so right now I'm in the restroom. I went ahead and took some of the livestock that was in this bucket, and I have it in here. I'm going to go ahead and start dipping it. There was a little bubble algae, but I went ahead and just used my little cutters and just snipped that part off. And then I do also have the fish that came with it. I went ahead and just put them into this little quarantine I have sitting on the floor. I mean, it'll do. But I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do with these fish as of yet. I may keep some, I may get rid of some, but only time's really going to tell. I do have all these snails. I am going to make sure they're scrubbed really good first before I put them into the tank. Just because I did notice one or two of them had that bubble algae on them. Now, the only other invert I'm not quite sure of as of yet is going to be this cleaner shrimp right here. He's a pretty good size. He's about as big as a lot of my fish, so I'm not too afraid that he's going to be eaten. To be honest, I haven't had a cleaner shrimp in a really long time, so I don't know how he's going to fare. If I do see that he's kind of getting chewed on, I'll probably just put him in the sump and just have him live down there. So for example, like this wrasse here, I'm not sure what he's doing. It's either he's waiting to get cleaned, or he's checking the fish out and seeing, hey, do I want to eat him? The interaction's pretty cool, but I honestly don't quite know what he's doing. But we're just gonna wait a little bit. I don't think the other wrasses have seen him as of yet. Seen the cleaner shrimp, so I don't know how he's gonna do against them. We're just gonna wait. So far, I mean, it doesn't seem that bad. He's not actually picking at him. He's kind of like, hey, clean me, you know? This is what you're here for, just do it. So we'll see in a little bit while I get the corals acclimated. Now, one great thing about these tank breakdowns is basically you can really get a good amount of coral for free. Which is really awesome, because you can get really good deals on just like a butt ton of coral. One bad thing though is depending on who took care of the tank, you know, some people are really clean, some people aren't. Generally, I'm on the cleaner side of coral, so really none of my rocks would ever kind of look like this. They're a little on the dirty side, but that's okay. It's not really a big deal. The corals themselves are pretty healthy, so I'm really glad about that. This is like a Duncan, for example. There's a little torch right there. I think he said that's a Hellfire torch. It looked pretty good in his tank, so I'm curious to see what it's going to look like once I get it into my tank. There's a bunch of zoas here, and of course we have all these zoas in the other tank, but I'll get to those in a little bit. I've already checked out these rocks. There are no bubble algae. I just want to dip it for a little bit to see if I can get rid of some of these snails and to see if there's any other pests that might fall down to the bottom, because I will have to deal with that. But so far it looks pretty okay. Okay, so it's been a few minutes, and unfortunately I've kind of noticed something that's very alarming. When I blew around the tank after adding the Coral RX, you'll be able to see in a second here. Do you see all these little bits? You guys recognize that? That is Planaria, I think. It's like the rusty red colored flatworms. Yeah, they're all over this guy. So instead of risking it, I'm probably not going to put these corals in the tank today. I'm gonna find another bucket just to put them in for right now while I get everything dipped. I still have enough water from the water change in order to maybe put them in a more sterile area, but I'm gonna go ahead and dip everything and get all these flatworms off. I'm pretty sure if these guys have flatworms, the rest of the frags have flatworms, and I'm not really willing to risk adding these all to the tank. It's just not worth it with all these flatworms, even if I do have wrasses. So we're gonna go ahead and go ahead and put these into another bucket of clean water. I'm gonna dip the rest of the frags, and then we'll work from there. And I think I'll just have these in a separate tub for now with a heater and a pump, just to keep everything alive. But I am not gonna put this directly in the tank as of yet. So I just want to give you guys all a look of all the flatworms that just came off of that first batch. Quite a lot of them. Basically, I've not put any of the rocks into my vat. It's just the bits of coral. So I took them all off basically, and I'm just gonna fill this up with water instead. And we'll leave it as that for now. I still have all this coral to go through. I kind of have to go through all the coral, but we're gonna leave it like that for a bit and see what we're gonna do after. We're gonna put all the clean coral in here, and then I may put it just somewhere separate, just to give it a few days and see if you know, if it keeps persisting. And if it does, we'll just keep dipping until they all go away. But without the rocks being there, I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get most of it off, if not all of it. If it was like bubble algae or aptasia, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. But this planaria, I've never personally experienced, and I know it gets pretty bad, so I don't even want to deal with it. I'd rather just take the time and just kill everything that we have here. Okay, this is round 2. As you can see, still a lot of planaria. This one was done with this set of sticks right here. So yeah, I mean, we're just gonna keep going. I have all this coral to go through, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe I shouldn't have bought this. But I mean, the deal was good, and I mean, he didn't exactly say pest free, right? And it's really not that big of a deal for me. It's just constant dipping, and then probably putting it into like some type of quarantine, so I can just dip it again in a little bit, just to try to get those last couple buggers off. But yeah, I guess it's gonna be quite a night. Well, we're just gonna get through it and push through, and you know, there were some pretty high-end zoas in here, so you know, as long as I do the quarantine diligently, I think it'll probably still be worth it. Because for the $300 I paid, some of these items are already past that on their own. So it's just, yeah, something we got to work through. All right, just a quick update here. I am on, this is probably batch number 5. Same thing, all that planaria. Oh well. I try to get off as much rock as I can, so yeah, I was gonna add the rock for more biodiversity, just to get, you know, different forms of bacteria. I thought that'd be good for the tank, but obviously with this crazy of an infection, I'm really not going to. The larger rock pieces I've gone ahead and put there. I'm gonna fill that with water and just let it sit for another day. All the other cleaned ones I have here in this bucket. I'm probably gonna move it to a bigger bucket so I can kind of, you know, give it more room. And then tomorrow we're gonna dip these guys again just to get off the last remaining bits. And I'm pretty much just down to my last rock. I'm gonna clean that one up, and then we'll be pretty much done for today. All right, so I'm finally finished taking them all apart. I'm right next to the tank right here. I went ahead and taken the tub outside, washed it out completely with fresh water just to get all that disgustingness out from the planaria that might have still been in the bucket. I put all the frags from in here into the bucket, and then what I'm going to do is fill this guy up. Put a heater, put a water pump. We're gonna let it just sit for a day, let the corals rest, and then what I think I'm gonna do is dip them one more time in Coral RX, maybe tomorrow or a couple days, just to see if there's any remaining bits of Planaria, and not Coral RX, Coral Revive. And then if it looks good, I probably will put them in the tank. Planaria seems like it was the only issue. There was a little bit of bubble algae, but I've pretty much just cut all those pieces out. I didn't even bother like scraping them off. I just, whatever piece was on there, I just cut them right off with the rock. So I didn't pop anything. There's no bits left over, so that problem shouldn't be an issue. There was only like 1 or 2 Apasia. I completely scraped them off along with the little bits that it was attached to, like the rock bits, so that should be fine. But yeah, so far everything else looks okay for now. We'll go ahead and see later on, but yeah, that'll be pretty much it for today. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill this up and then call it a night. And yeah. And yeah. Okay, so it's now the next day. I have this little par 38 bulb that I'm going to use for that little tank for the show. I just have it strapped to this bucket right here. And I just want to give you guys a look as far as what corals actually came with this little purchase. Since yesterday, you know, I didn't really have a good light to show everything. As of right now, I don't see any of the Planaria, but I am going to dip this one more time, just to see if any more fall off. And if everything looks good at this point, I'll go ahead and just get them into the display. If there are, you know, any little remaining bits, I'm pretty sure my wrasses will take care of it, so I'm not really too worried. But it's good just to get, if I can, you know, as many off as I can. It just gives you that peace of mind. But we got some, for example, mean greens, eagle eyes, a nice yellow submarine favia, the nice little lobo there. You have, for example, like a holy grail micromusa, which is really cool. The guy told me that this is a hellfire torch. I'm not really sure, but I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's kind of yellowish, actually, which is a little different. There's a fun little hammer right there, some more sticks, some more zoas. All the high-end zoas that he has on these tiles. Let me see if we can see right there. Well, that right there is like an exosphere. I don't remember a lot of these names. I think he said something about a predator. I don't know which one that one is. And I know this one that's not opened up currently is a Little Shop of Horror, and that has 3 polyps on it. So that'll be a pretty good little money maker at some point if I can get it to frag. There's like a cool little orange mushroom with blue dots. That I think is actually super impressive. And yeah, there's just a lot of other corals. Now, I'm not going to keep most of these. Some of like the more common stuff that I don't want, I'm just gonna put into the frag show and just sell them off. And then a lot of these I'll either put into the display, or like these tiles, for example, I'll put into the frag tank down in the sump and just let them grow out until they're a lot bigger before I put them into display, or I just directly frag them. But like I said, what we're going to go ahead and do right now is just put them into a dip one more time. If everything looks good, we'll get them all into the tank. All right, so we started with our first set, which is going to be the big tiles for grow out. They're the easiest to move, so I just went ahead and did it. Looking around, we have 0 Planaria. That little red speck is not a Planaria. It's, I don't know what that is, but it's not Planaria. But it's hard to focus with this damn light, but it looks good. Really, there are no parasites that I can see, or flatworms. The snails are getting kind of a hit, though. So yesterday I collected all of the little stomatellas, and putting them RX, kind of seizes them up. So I feel bad for them, but they'll get back into it. They just need to wake up a little bit. But yeah, so far this set's doing good. So we're gonna keep going, and Yeah, we're gonna see if we get any more flatworms. If not, everything's going in the tank today. All right, so it's been a little bit just putting everything together. This is kind of what's left over right now. I've gotten a lot of the other stuff either into the other tank or, dipped and just placed elsewhere. I'm gonna work on this a little bit more. I don't really know what to do with the remaining bits. Obviously, some I'll go ahead and still put in the other tank, but I'm kind of running out of space. So luckily we do have the frag show coming up. One thing I do plan on doing is, I notice I have a lot of these acros. They're actually all the same thing. I'll probably end up just cutting them all off and just placing them onto one plug, just to save space. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this guy. I'll probably take him apart in the next day or so, because I will need this light for the frag swap, and I might consider actually using this rack for the frag swap as well. But yeah, I'll try to figure out where to put this stuff, or at least I'll just leave it in the bucket until after the frag show. That way I can just, deal with the extra pieces once I actually have room. Now, as far as the other ones that I did go ahead and cut, we have some of the smaller, more rare frags, you could say. I have them here on these plugs now, so we're just going to let these guys grow out. We won't touch them for a while. There is the Holy Grail Micromusa, which is just going to sit there for a bit. I probably am going to sell that in the swap because, to be honest, my wife said she kind of doesn't like it, so we're probably not going to keep it. Scully we're going to keep just because he is kind of ugly, but it's a Scully, why not? I haven't had one before, so we'll go ahead and keep that. The Yellow Submarine Favia, same thing. We're going to go ahead and keep that for a bit. And then for the most part, all the other frags that I had, they're basically just going to go to the frag swap itself. So like the Monty there, some of these other frags, and then I do have a bunch of these Zoas that we had. They're gonna go with the frag swap as well, just to see if I can make a little bit of my money back, and try maybe some different kinds of coral. But that'll be pretty much it for today. Luckily, the dipping and everything went well, so I'm not too worried about other pests. But that'll do it for today. Thank you guys for watching as always, and in the next episode, we're going to be at the frag swap. Have a good one. Peace.